everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube. ActionX is a show where we talk about all things in the world of television, which normally include episode-by-episode reviews of currently airing shows, season-by-season reviews of shows that are still on the air or have wrapped up already, or doing these quick impressions, which basically is me talking for 20 minutes about a show that I watched recently, and what are my thoughts on it, what do I think of it, was it worth it, was this my correct use of my time? Today I'm talking about Modern Family. Modern Family has been on my list for a while. So my backstory on that is, well, not really much of a backstory. I knew of the show's existence mainly via for Sofia Viragas, the one of the actors on the show, and I was aware of the show for so long. I recognized some people that I used to watch back on the Disney Channel days, and I heard that they made the jump to ABC, and that was kind of like where they were staying at for a while. And I always heard like for so many years about Modern Family. It's just I never really had an inclination to go check it out. And finally, well, not really finally, a few years ago, my father was working, and he found the season 1 DVD at work, and he brought it home for me, and I was like, cool, I'll give it a watch someday. I wasn't really inclined at the time to watch it because a few years ago it was like 2018, 2019 when I got it, so I was like, I wasn't in the biggest rush to do it. Our show hasn't started up yet, so I wasn't really inclined to go watch it, so I kept that in the back of my mind for the time being. Then, pandemic stuff happened, more and more stuff got cleared off the list, and I was kind of in the need for a new comedy. I just need some laughs. I need something new, and I have done a lot of old fashioned comedies, a lot of like mid 2000s comedies, and I've been through around the circuit for a long time. Honestly, now that I really thought about it, I never really watched something that was like towards the very end of the original 2000s to the beginning of the 2010s. I don't believe I've ever watched a sitcom besides Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. Besides that show, I never really watched anything that was kind of like still going on besides those shows. I never really stood around because the problem is with modern comedy, it's very different to do it. I don't really have an inkling to watch a lot of modern comedy shows because I just don't. I don't get sold on them easily. I don't, and I find my style of comedy to be very particular and very very specific. So normally for me, like one of my requirements is the show has to be on for a long ass time for a reason. Mostly, like most of the times I do these, it's like usually shows that have hit the double digits. So I'm like always curious, like how the fuck did they get so far in? And when I finally tune in and watch, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Why that totally makes sense. So Modern Family was up next, and I did not honestly know what I was getting into it because similar to like when I started How I Met Your Mother or Cheers or Frasier or even Big Bang Theory, and I didn't know how I was gonna get myself into it because the thing with the comedy is like it's meant to just be a comedy. It's never meant to be like this serialized story that you follow week after week. There's still going to be some story elements, but it's not really something like they're going to harp in too much about. So I was like, what is Modern Family's hook? Because like, okay, I can kind of guesstimate that it's about the modern styles of families in our current generation. It kind of like was the precursor like to so many things that were happening nowadays, and this was kind of like just painting like a new picture and relating to so many new types of people where. In this show, when I finally did tune in to watch, I was always curious, like, oh, and I was always confused by like, for me, for the longest time, I thought that, Tyler Burns' character and Sofia Vergara's character were actually the ones in a relationship. I didn't know, like, I just didn't know. I really didn't know. I didn't know, like, I knew, like, okay, there had to be some siblings here. There had to be, but then when I finally got to really see what it was, finally about, and I was like, oh, I see how it is, because the thing is with Modern Family is that you have basically 3 generations of family. Like you get representation. You have it's been a little bit since I remember the name, so I apologize. You have damn, I already forgot. You have the Tyler Burr's character, and you have his family. They're kind of the representation of like the basic family, like the OG type of family. Well, they're all Caucasian looking. They have your typical like the popular one, the nerd, and like just the doofus kid. And it's always pairs of three. Like that's your basic family, right there. But then you start, and the dad, and with the rapport that the dad's kind of clumsy. He's still like nice mannered. You get to see that played out throughout the show. And then the mom's like the more hardworking one. She's like the one that like is the strict parent, and but she still has her own personality and flair to it. Then you have Mitch and Cam, which are kind of like the new generation of family, where it's like you have like more legalized. Well, at the time, you had more states were starting to like morally legalize same-sex marriage, and then so like that was more of a possibility. And then after that, that opens the door to actually adopting kids or having surrogates to have babies and actually start a family. And that was that side of things. And then you have the older generation where that is adapting to the newer times, where you have the dad, the grandpa, if you want to call him, like at times like the real like older patriarch of this entire giant Columbus family, remarrying at such an old age to another ethnicity, as well as a much younger, a much younger mother, not mother, a much younger woman, who has her own son, who is still going through his growing up here. So he gets to be a dad once again after just having two adult kids. And then you just see like how their lives are. And at first, like the premise alone, like this sounds very complex. You have so many characters. How do you balance all of them, giving them all their unique personalities? And how do you make the show work, especially after 11 years? And also, I really don't know why do comedy shows tend to end after 11 years? Like Cheers did it, Frasier did it. Now this one did. Oh yeah, Friends ended by 10, but it could have just ended at 11. It's always 11 for some reason. I always want to know, because I just want to know. So when I finally did get to check into the first episode, and I won't be spoiling anything beyond the first episode, like most comedies, the first season is very tricky. Like your audience is like, I don't think their show like like whenever I read the show, like I mean you could say this with most like modern comedies, like it tends to go into like the more mixed review stage, because it's so hard to maintain consistency throughout the entire 11 seasons. For me, I never found one season to be particularly better than the other. I do believe they got better over time. I still say the first season's like, they're roughing it out. They're going through the patch. They're really trying to find their voice, their groove. And I was watching a couple like behind the scenes documentaries of it after I finished watching the show, kind of like getting like what the cast perspective was. And just them thinking about like, yeah, this is one of the last of this type of comedies you're ever going to get in life, because it comes at the very end of what people wanted back in the day, which is like, give us comedies that go for more than a decade. And then you also have the comedies where like you have to start adapting with the times, like the old ways of like performing comedy, the old ways of doing joke, that's coming to an end. You need to start adapting to what the world is right now. This show was like the perfect blend of both of them, which I agree. Like I highly doubt you're ever going to get a comedy that is going to start nowadays that's going to go beyond that. People have much shorter attention span, and there's just so much more platforms to get content from. You have your cable networks, then you have your streaming network, then you have the companies directly giving you their content, like a Disney Plus or a Paramount Plus. Like you're getting so much more content, and you're getting from so many different studios, that it's becoming harder to really get that longevity factor anymore. Nowadays, it's just about, let's do less, but have the quality remain consistent throughout the entire run. And not to say Modern Family never had that general, because I always felt like it was always very much, this is just Modern Family. They never went above. For me, they always had those episodes like they always went above and beyond, and those were the episodes. Then there was the episodes where like it felt very standard. I never really got so in love with a season. I mean, in Big Bang Theory, as many people know already from my previous quick impressions, I love that show from like the start. Like I got hooked so hard, it was an addiction. This, it was like, it took me like maybe a couple months to finish through, and that was like, I think, the perfect pace to do it. And I liked it. I really did. I liked all the characters. I think obviously them having a character named Joe was like, oh man, you were really trying to win me over there. You really were. And also, let me make sure we're recording. We are recording, thank God. I like Manny was like, oh my god, Hispanic kids, and also he was my representation. Like that was my dude. That was it. I love the Mitch and Cam stuff. I always fell for them. Again, I heard rumors that they were, well, not really rumor, more like a casual comment that like Mitch and Cam could get their own spin out. I don't personally buy it. Like I like the concept of it, but I don't think you should do it. I don't. I think this is just something special. Like just leave it be. And then the regular family, I forgot the Tyler Bareilles family now, like I like them too. They were like, kind of like the standard, like you were always getting the constant factor from them of like what their storylines were going to be, and again, it was just so like for me, it's like finally getting to see this show and understanding. Like I understand why it lasted so long. I really did. It's just the love of family, and most of these comedies, that's technically their bars. Like regardless if it's just a group of friends or a group of misfits or like an actual family, you carry that energy of like they're a family. Like they all care about each other, no matter what stupid stuff they're gonna go through next. They're gonna keep being together, and they're gonna keep still trying to survive this crazy world together. And I really, it also made me open to a couple of new things that I didn't even really understand really, because one of the big things about me is good. For me, I'm old fashioned. I grew up with an old-fashioned dad. My family has a lot of old-fashioned value. But, of course, obviously, me and my sister are, like, the generation where, like, we're starting to, like, really be open to, like, new things. For me, like, in the circumstances of love, I always say, hey, if you love someone, go be with them regardless of what they are. Like, if you truly have a connection with someone and you see them helping you grow, being there for you always and wanting to see you grow, adapt, and change, they're worth it. Stick with them. Regardless of who they are. Like, you're going to eventually find that person, and regardless of whatever anyone tells you, they're your emotions, they're your feelings. That's what you are. And for me, like, on a certain aspect of it, in the interracial side of things, because I grew up with in the aspect of, like, I thought I was just meant to be with a Hispanic. Because everyone around me, like, all, like, the parents, and then anyone, like, early on that coupled up, that was all, like, all the same gender, not genders, all the same the races, racial background, they were all the same. So that's what I thought was going to be for me. I thought that was how it is. I just stuck with, Hispanic, girls, then women. And then it wasn't until, I'm not gonna mention him and make a personal reference out of it, cause that's his life. I don't want to like really intrude there. But when a close friend of mine, like when he finally when he got his first girlfriend, and it was not the same ethnicity as him, I was like, huh, this is new to me, cause I'm not used to it, but I wasn't against it. And then I had a couple bad experiences personally that kind of negatively affected it. But then when I saw Modern Family, like, okay, before I say anything, like, my opinion fully did not change because of a show. It was just me eventually growing and changing. And like similar to how I watch How I Met Your Mother, like, some of those lessons I learned before the show, and some of the things I learned I watched after the show. But then watching the show, I gained a new context of what I learned. Because even though, yeah, it's scripted media, like, it really shouldn't make too much of an impact on me as a character or me as a person. But I still do. I still listen. I hear, and then I'm like, I learn from it. Where I think they mentioned this first, like Joe and Gloria, they're like, for much of the earlier season, there was just that stereotypical, like, people look at them, it's like, okay, she's only there for the green card, and also he's older than her, and she's so young, and and he's like kind of like meh or average, and she's like a freaking dead drop gorgeous model, and everyone gave them so many eyes. And when in reality, it's like, when you get to hear them through the mockumentary style interviews, and you get to hear more of their characters and their personalities and the little things they drop, you start to understand, like, okay, like, on paper, they shouldn't be together, but they just have this sort of, like, they have something that the other needs. Because I had this conversation with someone fairly recently about the fact that you don't have to have that many similarities to know this partner's for you. You can find your perfect twin, and that's your forever partner. You can have someone that's completely opposite from you, but you have that energy. You have something that they have that they need, and it just works. You can't explain it. It just works. And then you have just the average, like, we have a good amount of things in common, but we have our own identities. We have our own different interests, but we're just too good we're good together. We just work out. And for them, this show taught me, like, yeah, it's possible to, to find someone like that. It's possible. And, you know, you shouldn't let the opinion of someone else really affect it. You shouldn't. You should just focus on the person itself, and then, you know, just that's it. Like, okay, I'm happy with this person. Leave me be. Or in some cases, fuck off. And I completely understand that. I get that. I now fully understand it to a T. And for me, like, I move forward with the fact of, if you're truly happy with someone else, regardless of everything, just go for it, because you never really know. Jokes aside, everything aside, if they're happy and it's genuine, let them be happy. And that show really taught me, not just in those characters, you know, with Mitch and Cam, and then damn, I still forgot the like, kind of like the main family, like in the middle, like that I forgot their name, but I think it's the Dugans. I don't think it's the Dugans. I don't the Duffys. No, the Duffys. I'm so close on the name, but I'm losing it. But that main family, like, even them, like, those were, like, you're getting different stages of it. Like, you know, you're seeing it, like, one is the energy, one is the, like, so many similarities, and one is just, like, they have enough similarities, but they're still different. You get all that. This is what this show encompasses. It's just another one of those real life at its peak, but in comedic form. It's something that everyone nowadays can relate with, and even people back then. Like, I'm pretty sure if I could show my father this show, I'm pretty sure he would be hooked on it too. I'm gonna bet that for 100% without a doubt. And for me, like, yeah, hopefully down the line, I'm gonna rewatch this show again, and, you know, explore, like, now knowing, like, how things ended up certain ways, and, you know, just how things turned down the end. Like, I want to do that again at some point in the future. I hope I will. But at the end of the day, I think this was, at the end of the day, when it comes to the comedy, they did, for me, like, again, comedy is subjective. I think they did enough for me to be hooked in. I don't think this was, like, something like, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to die on the floor laughing about every time I hear a joke. But it was very good, and the human value of the family love is there, present throughout every episode, and I wish I could have that family dynamic. Not like the entire, like, oh, I'm going to remarry when I'm older. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm like, I would like to have that sort of life in a sense, if that makes sense. If you know what I'm saying. So, regardless of the end of the day, I thought that, like, despite for me the comedy being average, the love and the heart and the soul of a family comedy is there. And I completely understand why it reached 11 seasons, why it ended the way it did, because it's the thing about life. Like, you know, no matter where you go next or where the next stop of your journey is going to take you, you're always going to have family at home that's going to be there for you when you come back. And this is not really much of a spoiler. Like, the way it ended, like, the show, just like the true last shot was like, it made sense for that character, and it made sense for the lesson and the emotional value this show was trying to teach you from episode 1. And that makes me like it's not one of my top 10 shows of all time, but it is something that I would recommend to a lot of my friends and my family as well. So for me, Modern Family is worth the binge. It's worth the watch, and I would have no problems in the future rewatching it again. And also, I am currently collecting all the DVDs, so take that as a note. Like, I do like the show, so go check it out. You can find all the episodes, all 11 seasons on Modern Family on DVD or on Blu-ray, I believe. I don't quote me on that. Or all the episodes on Hulu. So go check it out there. Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of Modern Family? If you watch it, I would like to talk to you about it below. But till then, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, giving our quick impressions on Modern Family. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's the Two, we're currently doing Walker episode reviews for season 2, Doom Patrol reviews for season 3, and Nancy Drew season 3 episode reviews. Normally throughout a regular rotation cycle, each and every week here on ActionX, on youtube.com/ActionX, which you can subscribe to as well if you want to hear more of me talk about TV shows at a more passionate level, whatever you want to describe it as. You can also like, favorite, share this review if you want to. If you want to help us get this out to other members of the universe who have yet to discover us, helps us beat out that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much in life, and as well as sharing this for free here on the interwebs. Please also ring that bell for notification when our next review is live. And please also follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this quick impressions of Modern Family. We have done tons of other quick impressions on a lot of other shows, so go check it out all on our playlist on youtube.com/ActionX video. But if you did not get hooked in, sadly, which I'm like, damn, what did you not like about me? I'm very likable. Okay, enough gloating about myself. Stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.